figure out how to work it into conversations for the rest of the week.
There you go.
Shouldn't be too hard. Our English teacher used to.
Is there anyone else in the lobby?
To use it.
I do not see any.
We'll work that in the conversation.
All right. Two township. We've got township one voting. Here, Jeff was gonna zoom in. I texted him. I haven't heard back, and we have not appointed a town not voting yet. So I think that gives us the full roster. We've got a quorum. Quorum. All right. Chair sees a quorum and calls this meeting the Whitestown Fire Board to order at 6 o'clock. Will you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Now we'll have a roll call of members.
Clinton Baum,
Howdy.
Jeff Wishick,
Absent right now.
Jim Baldwin,
Present.
Mike Hancock,
Here.
Michelle O'Connor,
Here.
Casey Copeland.
I'm here online.
There you go.
All right. That's everyone. We have our quorum. Are there any adjustments to be made to the agenda at this time?
I move to approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's adopted. Next, I'll move to the approval of the November meeting minutes. Are there any changes that need to be made to the minutes at this time?
I will move to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's adopted. We have approved the minutes. Chief, do you have a pen so we can pass these around? Thank you, sir. Next, move on public request to speak. Is there anyone online other than Casey right now?
Not that I see.
All right, and seeing as how there is no one in the audience, I do not believe we have any public requests to speak. So on agenda or non-agenda items. So I'll skip over presentations, and which there are none, and move to statistics and updates. Chief?
Okay, so Pevin PR, November was a little bit light, but we had a fire station visit and tour. Couple younger kids and their parents were wanting to come by the firehouse and deliver a thank you note, so they kind of got a tour and a safety talk as we went there. A Girl Scout troop visited, wanted to go over first aid, kind of a CPR demonstration along with a fire gear demo. As far as additional things of note, we did complete our written testing for our latest hiring process. We had 201 candidates apply, and right on par with the around 50% attendance rate. We had 89 show up to take the test. The interviews, we are going to be interviewing 64 individuals, which is where the cutoff lied on the test. They are going to be completed next week. So we'll have that process and list done for our first meeting in 2023 to approve. Inspections and prevention. Obviously, I didn't get the report as normal, but I am happy to announce, like I mentioned, we were talking earlier, Chief Milstead is doing much better. He's around, he's up, moving, working through his doctor's appointments and such so he can come back. But in the meantime, we've all in the admin have kind of split the responsibility. We're going out and doing any kind of necessary inspections, whether it be final inspections and whatnot, answering questions, emails, things like that. So we're all kind of doing the team approach to that, along with I just want to mention about thanking the building and planning department, as they have been a big help and reached out and kind of taken over the role of plan review as far as the sprinkler systems go. Robert Laughlin has been doing that for us. I don't know if we've really had any, but that's a big help for us, since we do not have, we may have the certification to do so, but we did not have the experience necessary to make that at least efficient. So even neighboring departments have reached out, you know, if we need any of their fire marshal's assistance for things. So all around unfortunate incident, but you know, things are well as far as collaboration in that. So
We're all glad to hear that Chief Milstead is doing better and wish him to continue on a speedy recovery.
training division report, 351 hours of fire training for November, which also included a live fire training at the tower, mutual aid, our nightly drill we do annually that satisfies ISO requirements, along with just having a beneficial training for our personnel to be operational at night and work with our neighboring departments. EMS billing, November's month-to-date revenue, just over 28,000. Brings our year-to-date revenue over 240,000, which is 25.8% above where we were at last year with that. EMS report, 295 hours of EMS training. We also just completed past couple days CPR for the town. Employees that were interested in getting that, so we were able to provide that. For EMS runs, we had 86 patient contacts with 69 transports. You'll see that it's pretty well split between 34 BLS and 35 ALS. And then, as usual, we had the continual review of any critical runs we may had to use those as teachable moments, and our quality control checks that we do for every report that's written. Took care of a Zoll recall as far as our monitors and defibrillators go. We did get the NarcSpock systems installed, so we are only waiting the DEA inspection for us to be compliant with the new ruling on our narcotics storage and usage and purchase and all that. You'll see on the fire runs, November had 165 runs, which continues to remain busy for us anyways, bringing us to 1,460 runs for the year. And that also equates to a 374 run or 34% increase of where we were at the end of November last year. You'll see our mutual aid numbers have kind of increased a little bit. That is, a lot of that is our battalion being added to run strings operationally between the three departments in full-time departments in the area, so Lebanon and Zionsville. We've come to an agreement that we wanted to add another battalion chief onto certain alarm responses and fire incident responses, which give us those increased numbers, but it is reciprocal as far as us using them as much as we're going there as well. And then you'll see the Narcan usage chart there at the bottom that we have added the year-to-date back to 2016. Hopefully that suffices the request. If you would like to see any further, just let me know.
Quick clarification question for the historical month numbers. Are those all as of November, or are those all year to date, and then 2022 is as of November?
For the Narcan?
Yes.
Yeah, that is correct. That the 8 is year to date, and the other years that are on there are for that year annually.
Questions for Chief? All right, thank you, Chief. I believe that brings us to the end of the run statistics and updates portion of the agenda. Seeing no unfinished business, we'll come to new business, the discussion of the 2022 accomplishments. Chief?
So we have talked about the goals several different times this year and kind of our status, including the last meeting. So I won't go through and read all of this, but I'd like to entertain any questions you may have if you've had a chance to look through all of them. There are, like normal, a couple goals that are have been hindered, either be it financially or just involve more than just the fire department to get completed. So those will continue to push on into 2023. Not that they're falling off the radar by any means, but all in all, we had a very high percentage of goals that were 100% completed. along with additional accomplishments we did throughout the year.
Questions, comments for Chief on goals?
What is your timeline on relocating 271?
It's a moving target as far as, let me put it this way, I am constantly in the ear of people, probably to the point that I'm annoying them of just kind of where we're at. But it's all about all the cards falling in line as far as revenue or potential revenue possibilities. Working really hard on trying to establish some revenue for at least the planning phase, so we can get at least the design up and going, and which would give us the opportunity to figure out what ultimate number we need to shoot for completion.
Well, I know that the plan had been in next year's budgets, we were going to work out some funding so that you could get through some of those sketches, being very cautious and careful as costs have been all over the place with this economic situation. First starting with the shortages in the supply chain, now turning into the high inflation that the Biden administration has allowed to occur, and then the way they're fighting it is causing significant increases in interest rates, which is just another cost that I don't want to try and burden the fire fund with. So we want to get it done quickly, but also want to be cautious and mindful of taxpayer dollars, and why I'm hopeful that economic changes will come in this coming year. Other questions? Other comments? As always, Chief, I appreciate that this is a long list of accomplishments. Not every department can come to their meetings at the end of the calendar year and show that they've done all of this work and accomplished all of these items. And as we all know, when we put together the goals and you bring them to this board for approval and for information, that there's a lot that's aspirational, that you're not going to be able to get 100% completion, and that you push your department when you set these goals up. So we do appreciate that. All right, next we'll move on to consideration of encumbrances. Chief, you want to set some money aside?
I do. Just trying to be responsible with what we have remaining in our budget this year. And a lot of these are capital purchases that we don't want to pull the trigger on too early. Not saying they're not a priority item, but they may not be the highest priority item. That way we can see if we haven't had to use those funds at the end of the year, we can push them to next year as an encumbrance to help us complete those. So just kind of going through the list. The first one is Young & Sons asphalt paving for...
Chief, I'm sorry. I've just been told by Jeff Wishick that he is in the lobby. Is there any way? Do you see him?
I think he is on now. I've seen him on my screen now.
All right, Jeff, you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, let the minutes reflect that Jeff has joined the meeting. It is great to have you here as you're roaming about wherever you are.
I'm trying to find a quiet place. Here, would you unlock it? Sorry, I'm going to put it on mute. I'll be right back.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
Okay. So the number one encumbrance here, at least on this list, is moving $55,000 from our capital line to the capital line for next year to replace and repair the lot at Station 271. It's kind of come up this year. We don't want it to get too far out of hand. I know that the future is unknown for that building, but for as many years, even if we had the ability to go now, we're still a couple of years out for that coming to fruition. So we want to make sure we get that done. Additional fire hoses needed to boost our extra supply, if you will. So taking almost $10,000 out of supplies for that. The next item is fire gear that we have actually ordered. There has been some issues getting that to us. So they're thinking it could be this month that we get them, but with not taking the invoice or not receiving the invoices yet, we want to make sure we encumber that money so it doesn't hinder our line next year. In fact, that number is actually, what you have on yours is going to drop to 23,000 because we did receive an invoice today for a couple sets we've gotten,
Right.
but we're still having some out. So I've adjusted that and will continue to adjust that as needed before the encumbrances go to council in January. Fire training, utilizing some of those funds to get some more props. The East Coast Rescue Solution is a forcible entry training door prop, big metal training door to bang on and break into. The thermal imaging cameras as well are to assist with training for our use in smoky environments, if you will, to be able to see what's going on. EMS capital, that we had remaining in our revenue there. That 35,000 for that would be our lease payment for the monitors for next year. So instead of taking that out as planned, moving that money forward will allow us to utilize what's remaining this year for that. And then the next two, 7 and 8, are surprising. They're still here, but we have not received a final invoice for those two. So I will continue to move the money over at your discretion for that.
All right.
And then the last one is an additional auto pulse automatic CPR system from Zoll as well.
All right, thank you, Chief. Questions for Chief on this request?
On number 6, the monitors, what monitors we talking about?
Our defibrillators.
The defibrillators.
Yeah,
okay.
the ones that
Yeah.
we approved and had the lease for this year.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Further questions? Will of the Fire Board on Chief's request for encumbrances.
This is a recommendation to the council.
Correct.
And I move that we give a favorable recommendation to the Whitestown Council
I second.
for these encumbrances.
There you go. Jim motions, Jeff seconds. Thank you, Jeff. Further discussion on the positive recommendation on the encumbrance list to be sent to the council for the fire chief. All those in favor say aye. Oh. Do I got to go to roll call?
Well, I guess if Jeff's he's gonna participate, yes.
Chief, will you call the roll, please?
Yes. Clinton Baum,
Yes.
Jeff Wishick,
Yes.
Mike Hancock,
Yes.
Jim Baldwin,
Yes.
Michelle O'Connor.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Way to adapt on the fly, Chief. Good job.
Thank you, gentlemen, for letting me in.
All right. This brings us to the last item on our new business agenda to consider recommendation to town council on Chief's contract renewal. Chief, you want to hit the highlights?
Well, so I have sent this agreement as proposed to the president to have a look at with legal as well from their point of view. Really, the highlight of the changes are the salary structure, requesting a 5% raise, as was supposedly the automatic if this contract was not renewed into next year, and then additional 3% per year after that for this 5 years. Pretty much it. I do not have the printed copy. I have the actual printed copy without the changes on it. I know there was some wording things that legal had changed from their prior years of wording.
Yeah.
Um,
As legal does every new contract, it seems. Questions for Chief on the contract?
So the blue lines represent any changes that were made over what Chief currently has?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I would like to just add, I appreciate everything you do, Chief. I hear nothing but great things about our fire department all the time, and thank you.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate the opportunity.
I'll echo those comments as I try to say as often as I can. Chief, you've been fabulous with the department. The department is a professional department that I think everyone in the community really appreciates having around, seeing them around, out and about at their different events, at the Meijer, and even in their mode of need, they appreciate seeing the team come through. So thank you for that, for what you do. And with that, I'd offer a motion to give a favorable recommendation to the council for the chief's contract.
I would second that motion. I would also add the chief doesn't only do things for our community, but it does stuff for Indiana Task Force 1.
Great comment.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? All right. Chief, please call the roll.
Clinton Baum,
Yes?
Jeff Wishick,
Yes.
Mike Hancock,
Yes.
Jim Baldwin,
Yes.
Michelle O'Connor.
Yes.
All right. Motion's adopted 5-0. Seeing no other business, I would offer a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Clinton Baum,
Yes?
Jeff Wishick,
Yes.
Mike Hancock,
Yes.
Jim Baldwin,
Yes.
Michelle O'Connor.
Yes.
Motion's adopted 5-0. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. We'll see you all in January.
Thank you all.